There's a huge estate planning risk, and most people don't even know what it is. Hi, Nancy Bover here, certified executor advisor and the founder of NEXsteps. I wanted to talk about something. When you go and you have a meeting with your financial professional, one of the first things that they do is what they call the KYC, the Know Your Client. They get your background, they find out a lot of your information, but the biggest part of that Know Your Client is identifying your risk profile. Based on what your risk profile is, your advisor will recommend certain investments on your behalf. If you're young and you have a high risk tolerance, you might choose to put a large portion of your money in fairly high risk but potential high reward types of investments. On the other hand, as you age, potentially you want to have some growth, but you also want to ensure that you have some stability and less risk. And of course, if you're in the later stages of life, usually what you're looking for is wealth preservation. That is a very effective way of doing estate planning. It not only protects you as the client, it protects your advisor because by learning about what your risk tolerance is and explaining the different strategies to you, it helps you make wise decisions, or at least hopefully wise decisions that are based on what your goals are and what your risk profile is. But when it comes to estate planning, there's a different kind of risk profile. When you are creating your estate plan, we all know that it should involve not just a will, but also for incapacity. It should include an enduring power of attorney, and it should include a medical directive so that if you do have a lack of capacity, if you are in a position where you can no longer speak for yourself, you have legal documents in place that authorizes somebody to make decisions and speak on your behalf. But after you've passed on with your will, what about if your will wasn't structured properly? What if there were huge gaps in your will? What if your will was outdated? There's potential for a lot of gaps if your will hasn't been updated, hasn't been structured, or heaven forbid, there has been no will even created. I recently created a tool. It's called the inherited risk, and it helps identify specifically these kinds of gaps. Because when you pass away, it is an inherited risk. You are going to have to deal with the fallout of a faulty will. It's the people that you leave behind. It's your loved ones. It's your executor that is scratching their head. They haven't got a clue what to do because they can't find anything, or things were outdated, or you didn't warn them that there was some estranged family member that was going to challenge your will. These are all risks that people don't consider. I don't believe that most people want to leave the people that they love in a position where they are at risk of losing everything or just completely confused about everything. As a certified executor advisor, I also help people walk through their plans, make sure that there's not these gaps. But a good place to start, if you're not comfortable having a one-on-one, would be to take a look at this tool, identify those risks for yourself. You'll get a printout at the end that tells you who you need to speak to close those gaps. Do you need to speak to a cross-border specialist or a tax professional or a lawyer or an accountant or your financial planner? I've got an article over on my website. It goes into more detail about this. I'll have a link for that over in the description box, as well as a link for the inherited risk. Thanks for joining me this week. I hope that it's helpful. I look forward to sharing more with you next time. Bye for now.